Carl DeMaio with us here, a former council member, former candidate for mayor, veteran of the Kevin Faulconer inaugural party last night. I saw you down there eating some of these sensibly appointed local hors d'oeuvres. It was a fun night, actually.
It was a wonderful night. A lot of people from all around San Diego. It really reflected San Diego's diversity.
It really did, and I thought that was great. And the food was awesome. Actually, I like the way they set it up with the different, the local council districts, and then some of the greatest hit restaurants. A lot of them were maybe new to people, but man, there was some great food. And not a lot of lines, and 1,500 of Kevin's closest friends. So it was nice to be down there last night. I'm not sure what happened with our phones. I don't know who broke our phones, but. Nice you connected.
Well, you know what? It could be. I think people are mistaking your radio station's phone number for the hotline to call to complain about potholes.
Yes, the Pothole Peters, as Scott Peters is being called by you. He doesn't love potholes, infrastructure problems, does he, Carl? Isn't that just campaign rhetoric?
Well, he hasn't made road maintenance and repairs a priority. In fact, when you take a look at his record on the city council, he presided over a massive slashing of our infrastructure funds and really neglected our basic road maintenance. And where did the money go? It went right into the pension system. This was a city council that was negligent in how it managed our finances, and even more negligent when it came to our roads. And because they skipped so many road resurfacing projects, San Diego's roads went from being relatively decent in 2000 to being the seventh worst roads in the country by the time that Scott Peters left office.
So where's that money been going, Carl DeMaio? Because it's not like we're spending zero. They do budget things. Other places around the country budget millions for snow removal, for example. And we have money there. With same thing for water mains if they burst. There's not exactly a trust fund for this, I take it?
No, in fact, that's been the problem. Scott Peters raided the infrastructure funds, and instead of keeping a proper funding schedule for basic maintenance of the roads and replacement of roads, he raided those funds along with his council colleagues, and they put the money into government pensions. And this is, again, now we're seeing the consequence. If you don't maintain a road, it starts falling apart past the point of basic maintenance. It then has to be replaced, which is far more expensive. Think about it as changing the oil in your car. If you skip your oil changes time after time, you may save a little money along the way, you may be able to go out and have a little fun, but guess what? It catches up with you, and your car is going to completely break down. That's what's happened to our roads. There's a reason why the potholes are out there, and that reason has been bad policies by council members, in particular Scott Peters.
Carl DeMaio with us. As we move forward on this, obviously, and you've talked about this before on the water mains that blow, and we seem to have a new one going every week. We've got hundreds of miles of that under the pavement of the city of San Diego, and I guess it's just pay as you go, pay as it blows now. Is that what happens?
Well, it's all interrelated. When I talk about infrastructure funds, not only am I talking about the street resurfacing.
It's bridges, it's the whole bunch, right?
Here's the thing. When you have a government union boss in your office demanding a salary increase or bonuses or higher pensions, they get the attention. A broken road or a pipe doesn't walk into your office and say, "Hey, Scott Peters, I am 100 years old and it's time to replace me." They don't have some
talking pipes. That would be something. I'd right. Watch that.
And then, by the way, Mark, and here's the real game here, the political game. When the potholes do come and when the pipes do burst, then the politicians say, "Oh, my goodness, we don't have enough money. Can you give us a tax increase?" And this is the sort of baloney that has been happening year after year after year. It's something that when I was on the council, we said, absolutely not. We need to fix the wasteful spending, the pension giveaways. And in the water department, you and I talked at length about over $90 million in bonuses that were given out that had no justification according to outside auditors. And that's a program that I was able to put a stop to.
Carl DeMaio with us here on the Mark Larson Show. There's also this issue of who replaces Kevin Faulconer. You got a lot of Democrats on the city council, and they're going to look to replace him on the council with his council seat now that he's mayor. I heard a lot of talk at the party last night, the inaugural soiree, about how big the unions are making that. I mean, they're behind the scenes. Words like nasty were being used, and this is sort of below the radar past all the unity message last night. What do you think is going to happen? Because, of course, Kevin Faulconer can't veto anything, right?
No, according to the city attorney, the appointment goes through by a resolution, and the veto that the mayor holds does not extend to resolutions. So, it is a concern. You're going to have a risk that the unions get their hand-picked candidate put into that seat. And yes, it's only for 7.5 months, but at the same time, a lot of bad laws can be passed in 7.5 months by politicians. And that would give the unions a 6-3 dominant position on the city council for that period of time. And, obviously our hope is that we can elect Lori Zaff in District 2.
Yep.
She's already on the city council, but because of redistricting, she gets to run for Kevin's seat. And then, of course, in District 6, my pick, and many taxpayer advocates are getting behind Chris Cate. So that should balance the council out a bit more so that we're back to 5-4, a bit more reasonable and common sense policies can occur.
So you think the Kumbaya, the one San Diego party from last night will last how long? Some people said about noon today. That may be a little a little cynical, but how long before it's whether it's minimum wage or some of these other issues that based on your experience there on the council, how long does that last?
Well, certainly the whole thing is that the unions have an agenda. A lot of special interests are still trying to push their agenda as well. And, happy talk works when you say, we're all going to get together, we're all going to get along, and we're going to fix all the problems. Well, that makes for a great soundbite, and it feels real good. But leadership means that you have to actually take a position, take a stand, make a decision, and that might upset some people, and you might have to take slings and arrows. And so I've always said that San Diego's problems has been caused in large part by people going from happy talk to no action. And so my hope is that we can create an environment where people are talking about differences in a respectful way, looking for ways to work together, not trying to politic things, but trying to solve things. But at the end of the day, there are going to be differences, and there are special interest groups out there that have been on the take, and they will continue to be on the take, that we have to make sure that we protect the public and San Diegans. So,
Carl DeMaio with us, a lot of experience in San Diego, but obviously running for Congress as well versus Scott Peters. What do you make on the national, international side? Put your congressional hat on here with this Ukraine mess. Apparently we're sending John Kerry over now to just drone on and bore them to death. The president talks to Putin for 90 minutes. Seems to me that ought to be about a 5-minute kind of a conversation. What do you make of this? And Putin saying, "Oh no, I'm not invading. Or if they invite me in, I'm coming in." I mean, really, does he think people will believe that? Maybe the administration does.
Well, we've seen that this administration has not been an administration that has engendered credibility and confidence around the world. And that is not me just saying that as a Republican. That is something that independent observers have noted. You take a look at Syria, and the president came out with an absurd policy to get involved militarily in a civil war, and even his own party couldn't stomach that. The American people overwhelmingly said no, and because he did that and got pushed down by his own country, it really diminished his stature in the world. Now that doesn't mean that we were wrong not to go and follow his idea to go and invade or get involved in Syria. What it means is that he doesn't understand where his country is, where the Congress is, and how to strategically engage in foreign policy. And so this mess has occurred in small part by Putin sizing up the United States as weak, and the president won't take action. So my hope is that what we will find is a diplomatic solution, that we have to really see how we get Europe involved in a multilateral way.
Sure, and there's a way to do that. I mean, he should have done that in a way that would be a very short conversation. The threat shouldn't be, we're going to consider not preparing for the G8 summit. Some of the other allies in the G8 said, you know what, we're not going. I mean, the president, ours, could have had that conversation and said, unless you play nice on the world stage, here's what we're not going to do. And oh, by the way, we're looking at sanctions. End of phone call. Not 90 minutes of kumbaya, whatever he was attempting to do. There's a way to do that without showing all your cards, but having peace through strength, as Reagan said,
I completely completely agree. I think your first phone call is a quick 5-minute to Mr. Putin saying, here's our position. Why did you do it?
I almost imagine maybe he went back to his professor days and told Putin and his company, the translator, who else would be on the line, say, would you all go break into small groups and bring me a report on how we'll handle this by the end of the day? That's probably what he did. Hey, Carl, we got to run. We're going to go fix our phones, too, so I'm told.
Good luck with that.
See you later. Well, why do we need phones? It's only a talk show. I mean, come on. Anyway, thanks, Carl. Good to see you last night at the big Faulkner party. It was a lot of fun. All right.
Absolutely.
Thanks. More coming up, 1170 KCBQ. First full day of work for Kevin Faulkner, and he's already